Hi, today we're going to talk about honeybees and flowers in the style of artist Georgia O'Keeffe. Brighton Honey is located down the street from Genesee Valley Park in Rochester, New York. 20 hives are located in the backyard of a house that borders the Lehigh Valley Trail and the University of Rochester. The walking trail is surrounded by acres of woods and wildflowers for the bees to pollinate. 30,000 to 40,000 bees live in each box. Summertime is when the bees come out to cool off. You can see all the bees hanging out on the side of the bee box. Winter is the toughest challenge for beekeepers. Beekeepers lose about 20 to 30% of their bees over winter. This is the backyard at Brighton Honey. Depictions of humans collecting honey from wild bees date to 15,000 years ago. Efforts to domesticate them are shown in Egyptian art around 4,500 years ago. Honey was stored in jars, some of which were found in the tombs of pharaohs such as King Tut. On the right is an 8,000-year-old cave painting of a person collecting honey near Valencia, Spain. Honeybees are vegetarians. They often stay away from people. The following insects are not bees, but are more likely to sting you. Wasps, yellow jackets, and they're often confused as honeybees, but yellow jackets have yellow legs and honeybees do not. And there's also the bald-faced hornet. These are not considered bees, and these are often confused with honeybees, and when you're out in the backyard, you're more likely to be stung by one of these. Here's a picture of the worker bee, the queen bee, and the drone bee. And you can see how much larger the queen bee is compared to the other bees. Frames of honeycomb are placed in a spinner, and the honey spins out and flows into a food-grade bucket, as you can see in the picture on the left. Honey is then bottled and labeled to sell. On the top right is a picture of jars of honey and honeycomb, ready to sell. After the honey is spun out of the frames, they are returned to the bee boxes in the backyard. Flowers and a first grader beekeeper in the yard at Brighton Honey. Bees are attracted to the bee balm, which is the red flowers you see behind the little beekeeper. Here's a close-up of a bee and a flower on a trumpet vine in the yard at Brighton Honey. Flowers provide bees with nectar and pollen, which worker bees collect to feed their colonies. Bees provide flowers with the means to reproduce by spreading pollen from flower to flower in a process called pollination. Nobody sees a flower really. It is so small it takes time. We haven't time. And to see takes time, like to have a friend takes time. This is a famous quote by Georgia O'Keeffe and how she describes looking at flowers. I decided that if I could paint that flower in a huge scale, you could not ignore its beauty. This is another quote by Georgia O'Keeffe when she's discussing her flower paintings. Today we're going to draw a large bee. Our bee will be supersized. Artist Georgia O'Keeffe drew very large flowers so people could see them. We will draw a large flower and bee in the style of Georgia O'Keeffe. To the right is one of her most famous drawings of flowers. This is her red poppy painting. Our learning targets for today: I will be able to draw a large flower in the style of artist Georgia O'Keeffe. I will be able to draw a honeybee after watching the video. I will use lines and shapes I know to draw my bee and flower. I will neatly color in my drawing when I am done.